My Physical TBR is wildly out of control, so this week I'm challenging myself to reading as many physical TBR books as possible. So I own over 700 books with an absolutely abysmal read rate of just over 20%. My goal for the end of the year is to get it up to 30%, but this is not looking very good. I am a huge reader, but that means a lot of the books I read are also on my Kindle, they're audiobooks. When I read a book and I don't think I'm gonna read it again, I get rid of it and get new books. So I'm constantly reading. I just don't prioritize the books in front of me as much as I should. So this week I have made it my challenge to read as many books as possible. I've already gone through my shelves and picked out a few books for this week that I'm going to go through. In here I have a variety of books that I've been wanting to read, but I just haven't gotten to yet, but I know I'm going to keep them, as well as books that I'm going to read. I may or may not keep them at the end. I'm hoping not, so that I can unhaul more books. I don't know exactly how many of these books I'm going to get through this week, but I'm really hoping it kind of creates a momentum effect that will make me want to read even more books after. So I picked out 10 books as options for this week, just so I can narrow it down. I absolutely do not intend to read all 10. I'm not that fast of a reader. I think my goal is 3 books, and my stretch goal being 5 books would just be amazing. So these are the 10 books that I am going to attempt to be reading this week. First, I have Into the Cotswolds. This is a murder mystery book in the Cotswolds in England, and is one of my favorite places in the whole world. I found it in a little free library, I think, and I've been wanting to read it. I think this is going to be a one-time read and then get rid of. This is Murder for the Modern Girl. It is a YA book that takes place in the 1920s, and there's a lot of murder mystery and just all these really cool things going on. I think this is also going to be a once read and then get rid of, but this has the potential to be really cool. The Fall of Whit Rivera, I think, is going to be a really cool contemporary YA fall romance. I think this is also going to be a one-time read and then get rid of. We'll see. I loved Ashley Poston's YA books a long time ago, and I've been reading through her adult novels. I really love how she's getting into adult fantasy. I absolutely love her books with the hints of magical realism. I've had this one for a little bit now. It's her newest release and I haven't gotten to it yet, so I'd love to get to it this week. The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. I don't know why I picked up so many mystery books for this week. I very rarely read them, but I've been wanting to get to this one. I've heard really good things. Even my cousin recommended it to me. I think it's time. Somehow I have never read anything by R.F. Kuang, even though I really want to. I just think I'm a little scared to do it. Yellowface is one of the books that I have on my priority TBR. I just made a video about that. So I think this is the week it's going to happen. Master of One is one of the little free library books that I found, and the top says 6 Fey relics, 1 daring thief, the score of a lifetime. So I think it's a heist book, but with fantasy. We'll see. At Dawn with the Wolf Knight, I've been waiting for this book for so long, and I've had it for a few months now, weeks now, I don't even know, and I haven't had a chance to pick it up yet. I love the rest of the series, and I'm absolutely keeping them, and I've been wanting to read this one for a while. I picked this up on release day and I've been really looking forward to it. I don't know why it's been staring at me for so long without me picking it up, but I love mythology. I haven't read nearly enough Norse mythology and inspired works, so I need to read this pretty soon. And lastly, another little free library find. Once in Feature is a King Arthur retelling, like in association with James Patterson. I've been wanting to read this for so long, but I haven't picked it up yet. I feel like this could either be really, really good and stay on my shelves, or it'll be a fun ride and I could put back into the little free libraries. So I think this is the week for it. Okay, so those are the 10 books that I'll be deciding between for this week. I don't really know how much of this I'm going to get through, but we're gonna do our best. I'm absolutely gonna start with The Dawn with the Wolf Knight. I've been waiting for this for so long. This bookmark is perfect. I'm about 60 pages in and I've really missed this world. Also, I love the chapter decor. Every book is different and they have a design based off of what's in this book. So this one's obviously about werewolves. I've made it to the last 30 pages and I am stressed. I feel like the peak action has already happened, but it's still continuing for like 20 pages. And now I'm scared because I have no idea how this is gonna end. I'm pretty sure it's a happily ever after, but there's only 30 pages left and things are not looking good. So we'll see how it ends. So I finished Dawn with the Wolf Knight, and then I did a whole recap, and then I started this book, but my camera didn't record any of that, so let me see if I can redo myself. This ending was so sad and it kind of hurt. The rest of her series, all of them end in really big, grand, kind of fantasy ways, and this one was a quieter ending, and it made sense for this book, but it still made me kind of sad. Just most especially because this is the last book that's coming out in the Married to Magic universe. This whole series is just absolutely enthralling. The world is so unique and so cool, and it has so many magical elements, but then there's also some really high stakes, as like at the same time all of these magical creatures are like facing these huge odds and like the end of their own civilizations. So all these human women come in and like help fix them. So on a scale of like fantasy to romance, I'd say it's about 50-50 because the stakes are literally always high, but there's so much emphasis on the romance in them that they're really easy to get through because half the plot is romance. This one was about all of the lichen or the werewolves in this world, and it's just set up in a way that you're not really supposed to care about any of them. And so that kind of hurts because I then don't really care about the lichen as we go through, and so the ending of this makes sense to me, but it's still sad. And they are interconnected standalones, so you could read them apart from each other, but they all exist in the same world, and the timelines all happen relatively the same time. And towards the end of every book, they start pulling in characters from other things, and there's an event that's like about to happen at the end of every book. And I thought it was gonna happen in this book, and then it didn't. So I'm a little confused. I think maybe in a year or two, once I've had some time away, I think I'm gonna go back and reread the whole series and try to get, you know, now that we have all the pieces, try to go through and find all the clues. So because of that, I wanted to pick up something a little bit less hurtful, and so I started The Fall of Whit Rivera. This is very obviously a fall YA romance. I just read the first 3 chapters, and it set up the story really well, but it's in a very telling kind of way, so this feels very YA to me. But our main character, Whit, was diagnosed with PCOS, and of course over the summer she's put on a lot of weight and she canceled a lot of her plans, so now she's going into her senior year of high school wanting to kind of take back her life. But obviously she looks a little bit different and people aren't reacting very well to that, so she talks a lot about how she used to be bigger and then she lost weight and now she's put it back on again. So she thought she kind of got around that fat phobia that she was dealing with, but now she's realizing she definitely didn't. She was just fitting in again, so she's gonna go through this year kind of dealing with that. She also currently has a boyfriend. They were together for a year and now they're long distance because he moved away, and he's just not giving what he had been doing when they were in person together. So it's not starting out as fun and fluffy as I thought it would from this cover, but that's okay. I think this is gonna be the perfect little fall romance. I was driving around today and the leaves had just started turning, so I'm really excited to keep reading this one. The switch up from "is he going to kill me" to "does he like me" is wild. I kind of don't like our main character. She's very type A, spreadsheets, must be in charge of everything, and like girl me too for sure. But as soon as like she's offered help, she starts going all psycho and just wants to control everything. And she's literally saying, like, they're planning this fall festival and it has some personal significance to her. Her enemy in this is her ex-boyfriend from middle school, but like they weren't even in a relationship. It was like one of those middle school relationships. But so he gets added on to this team that's making this fall festival happen, and she's now like exploding. And she says, "But I'm not sure if I can. I've been so focused on becoming the president of this committee with late night visions of me in this sole role, making the fall fest mine all mine, shaping it into the perfect homage to autumn I've always envisioned, that having to share with anyone else nearly cracks me right in half." Like, girl, this is a fall festival for the entire school, and she's making just everything about her, and it's driving me a little crazy. Okay, I'm like 40% of the way through this. Things have been picking up, but this really is just like a wholesome little fall, cute little YA read. So, and because it's like a rainy, almost fall day, I'm determined to get this done today. It always kind of startles me when in a book there's modern day like references. So on this page they're talking about Animal Crossing New Horizons, and there's also been like a Bridgerton reference, and I've never seen that before in a book, so that like threw me out of it. And there's been a few other like modern day references, and they freak me out every time. She's also like supposed to be this really great older sister, but she's just like really annoying her younger sister, who definitely seems to be on the spectrum, but she's just like invading into her space and bothering her a ton, and it's kind of pissing me off. This author also has this habit of describing every outfit every day, and some of the outfits, you know, can be very cute, but it also kind of takes me out, and I'm so afraid for when like these outfits are not going to be in style anymore. Like it's just going to really date the book. So when an author describes outfits, I kind of get a little wary. Gosh, to be a high schooler flirting again. This is like the third reference to Gilmore Girls, which, I mean, makes sense for this book, but still. Okay, it's about 11 o'clock. I have, I think, about 80 pages left. I am determined to finish this tonight. Because it's YA, it obviously is going to go by a little faster, but I'm not that fast of a reader, so this could take me until midnight or maybe even beyond. Okay, I can't give this away, but that was actually really funny. There are really, really good depictions of friends in this book, and I'm really enjoying that. Okay, that was pretty cute. It was obviously very juvenile because it's a high school romance, of course, but I think it was written pretty well. The characters were all pretty fantastic. The entire crew of like best friends and family were all so wholesome and so sweet and so supportive. There was an insane, I've never read a book with so much like disability rep, so much racial rep, sexual identity rep. Like this book has it all. I've never read a book with a PCOS main character or any character at all. This was absolutely a love letter to familial love and love of fall and love of figuring out who you are, even with shitty circumstances. But personally for me, it was a little bit more juvenile than I'm used to in my YA, maybe because I usually lean towards YA fantasy instead of YA contemporary, but also because I kept being taken out of the story. I'd be reading through and suddenly someone would go on a well-deserved and well-written rant about the US medical system or the US education system or the harms of fat phobia, even like unconscious fat phobia. And all of this is obviously really important and means a lot, but it did take me out of the story, and it felt a little unrealistic for characters to go on such perfect, I don't want to call them rants, but such perfect kind of monologues about these issues. I think they're really important to be in here, but it did take me out a little bit. And then like I was kind of saying before, all of the nods to modern day pop culture, like the amount of like TikTok references that were in here. They were making TikTok videos at one point, and like all of the nods to like Bridgerton and Beyonce, and like some of them fit, but it was just so constant that I was like, I need to have separation from real life and not real life. And I didn't really get that in here. It was very much a this is a this year kind of book. The character growth was really good though. I really did not like our main character in the beginning, maybe because I see myself a lot in her, but mostly because I think she just had some growing up to do, which is totally valid for literal 17-year-olds. Our main love interest was pretty great, but he's way too like emotionally mature to be 17. Like, I don't believe it. But overall, I think this is a good book. I am definitely going to put it in a little free library somewhere and hope that the people that need it will find it, because I feel like this could really change someone's life who sees themselves in this book that has never seen themselves in a book before. And it is now 13 minutes past midnight, so apparently I'm a very slow reader. So I'm gonna go to bed and start another book in the morning. Okay, 2 books down and 8 more to choose from. I think after the last book, I want to lean more adult rather than YA, so I'm going to put these 3 down. These are the 3 YA books I have left, which leaves me with these 5 adult books. I don't think I want a romance right now after the last 2, so I'm gonna get rid of this one, which leaves me with these 4. I think I need something a little bit more than just normal contemporary, so I think I'm also gonna eliminate this one, which leads me with a mystery with a bit of magic, I guess, and then a complete fantasy. I think I am gonna go the complete fantasy. I've been wanting to read A Fate Inked in Blood since I got it, so I think it's time. I'm excited because I really love all things mythology. I'm most familiar with Greek, but I do have a little bit of knowledge about Norse mythology, not as much as I would like. So I'm really excited about this. I am a little hesitant because it is book 1 of a series and the next parts aren't out yet, and I hate starting incomplete series, but I think this is just what I need right now. I've just read 2 chapters only so far and I'm loving this. I'm loving it, I'm loving it. I've already like gasped and like shocked myself so many times. He's so unserious. Okay, it's almost 11 o'clock at night. I'm going to read until either midnight or until I need to pee, because I've had a lot of tea today. I'm so tired of love interests being described as smelling as leather and pine, especially when they're in the middle of a battle. I've had a pretty busy day, so I haven't been able to read at all, and it's already past 11:30, so I'm giving myself about half an hour to read. I want to finish this book, but I'm still only 126 pages in, so we'll see. Okay, an update to my first ever reading vlog, and I am absolutely cheating. I meant to have it be a week, but it's actually turned into about 2 already. I had family drop in unexpectedly. I went on little trips. It got way too busy, and I'm in my busy season, so there have just been days where I haven't picked up a book at all, which really sucks right now. But I did go over the weekend, had a little camping trip, and I finished A Fate Inked in Blood. I didn't love it as much as I really wanted to. It was just really focused on the romance and like trying to fulfill all these tropes that are popular in the last few years, so I didn't love it as much. I am still going to read the next books because I want to know what happens. The ending was really good. It was definitely the best part in my opinion, even though guessed it a long time ago. I'm not sure if I'll buy the other ones. We'll have to see. I really like the sprayed edges, but I'm not sure if this will be a series that I'm going to reread over and over and over again. But I finished that, and I was going to pick up this, but I ended up getting busy, so I'm going to hopefully finish this in the next 24 to 48 hours. We'll see. I have such a busy week ahead of me, but I said I wanted to get at least 4 books done in this reading vlog, and even though it's been over 2 weeks, I'm still gonna try to finish this 4th one. Oh no. This might be the 3rd book in a series. Crap. 3rd in a 22 book series. The reviews on the first book aren't that great, and I got this book entirely because it's Death in the Cotswolds, and I love the Cotswolds. I've traveled there a few times and they're just amazing. So honestly, I'm not going to read the first 2 books to get to this one, so I am immediately just going to take this one out of my book count. So I'm gonna unhaul this one. Now the question is, do I pick up another book or do I just go to bed? Because I'm exhausted. I'm so comfy. I'm gonna look at the pile. Okay, I think I'm gonna start Murder for the Modern Girl, but I'm gonna make sure that it's not part of a series or if it's the first. Standalone. Okay, I'm down to the last little bit of this book, and I have never read a book so fast because I've watched other booktubers who have listened to white noise as they read, and I've never tried it before, but I was really trying to finish this book and I decided to try, and I flew through the pages last night and a little bit this morning. So I'm going to keep listening to this white noise. I just found something on YouTube, and we're going to crank the rest of this book out. I won't lie, I thought about DNFing this towards the beginning because I wasn't really getting into it, but I'm so happy I pushed through and finished. This is definitely very YA, and in the beginning, the author like writes out like absolutely, like just in a way that really bothered me in the beginning, and it felt very flamboyant, kind of just very juvenile in the beginning. But once we started getting into the action, I was hooked and I just flew through the rest of this. So it's 1920s Chicago, and the city is just like rife with corruption and really bad men. And so our girlie Ruby is 18 years old and she can read minds. And we're not really given an explanation as to why she can do that and why she's the only one that can, but she can. And so she goes through life and she, you know, feels the thoughts of these really terrible men and realizes that the system is just not going to help them because her father is the attorney general for the entire state. And so even with him and all this corruption, she knows they're not going to get the justice they deserve. So she ends up poisoning them and killing like a dozen men that really deserve it. And so that's kind of her backstory. I didn't really realize it when I was reading the back of the book, but this is actually a dual POV story in which it changes every single chapter. And so the other perspective is this guy named Guy, and he can shapeshift into different people. Like he's same thing in which like we don't really understand why he's the only one, but he can change his appearance to be anything he wants. Not anything, but anyone. And so he has now tracked down this scientist who started studying people like him, and he's working undercover in the morgue where the scientist works. One of my biggest complaints about this book, I guess, is that they don't meet until exactly 100 pages into the story. So for the entire first 100 pages, it's still build up. Like we're getting their own little hints of their backstories and their reasonings and kind of setting up the world. So I felt like that took a long time, but once these two met, I just had so much fun with them. After their first meeting, it took a little bit more time for them to kind of start working together and start talking and start figuring out each other's secrets, but I just absolutely enjoyed the ride when they were together. There's also just a really great cast of characters throughout. So she has a best friend and she's so strong, and I can really appreciate female characters who are both feminine and really strong and can take care of themselves and are just so smart. Every single person in this book is just so intelligent, and that makes me incredibly happy because it bothers me to no end when characters are just really dumb or main characters are just really annoying, and I just don't like being in the side of their heads. I loved being in both their heads. He's like a nervous wreck and he's so anxious all the time, and she's just this incredibly strong 18-year-old girl. Like I loved it. I won't even lie, I did get nervous towards the end, these last couple chapters, when I didn't know how they were gonna make it out alive. I really enjoyed the suspense and everything happening all at once. It did get pretty violent. Obviously, there's a lot of murders going on, but the ending was so satisfying. This is, of course, just a little bit of a romance in there, and it is so cute. Sometimes YA romances can be really cringy because they're just so youthful, I guess, but like not in good ways. But I loved the romance in this book. I thought it was so cute. It was really well done. I really loved this book. If it was a series, I think I would keep this book, but because it's a standalone, I don't see myself reading it again anytime soon, so I think I will give this up to a little free library and let somebody else have this really wonderful experience. That's gonna be a wrap of my first ever reading vlog. I'm really proud of myself, even though I totally cheated and turned this into 2 weeks instead of the one I had planned. I am really happy with what I got through. I went through 5 books, I read 4 of them. I'm going to get rid of 3 of them. I feel really good about those odds. I am sad that I didn't get to the other 5, but that's okay. They are going to go back on my shelves and I'm gonna get to them eventually. I think I'm gonna get better at these as we go along. I've never kind of vlogged filming before, so I think right now I'm actually going to start another one and see if I can make it a little bit better and see if I can stick to 1 week or maybe 10 days. I don't know, I'm gonna have to go through my shelves and see what kind of reading vlog I want to do next, but we'll see whenever that gets uploaded. It's probably going to be another 2 weeks or so, who knows. Maybe I'll include some of these books, I'm not sure yet. But thanks for sticking along with me. I hope it was fun. I had a great time reading through all these, and it feels so good to be going through my shelves and unhauling a few books. Alright, that's gonna be all for this video. I'll see you next time.